Alright, today we're going to talk about isosceles triangles. Alright, in an isosceles triangle, two of the sides are congruent to each other. The two sides in the triangle that are congruent to each other are called legs. The angle that the two legs form is called the vertex angle. The third side of the triangle, that's called the base. And the other two angles in an isosceles triangle, those are called the base angles. These base angles in an isosceles triangle, they're always congruent to each other. So that is always congruent to that. Two sides are congruent, and the angles opposite those sides are also congruent. And that's the two theorems on page 285 that you're going to want to have in your notes. If two sides of a triangle are congruent, then the angles opposite those sides are congruent. Again, if these two sides are congruent to each other in an isosceles triangle, then the angles opposite those sides, this angle and this angle, those two angles are congruent to each other. The converse of that theorem is also true, and it states that if two angles in a triangle are congruent, then the sides opposite those angles are congruent. Alright, so let's take a look at a couple of examples. Let's say you're asked to find the measure of angle ACB. And you're given this information. Angle ACB. Right up here, isn't it? Okay, this triangle on the bottom, it's an isosceles triangle, isn't it? If angle D is 30, what's angle E? 30. What do the three angles in that triangle have to add up to? 180. So what's 180 minus 60?
120.
So you got 120 left up here at the top, don't you? So what's the measure of angle ACB? 120. Why?
Because they're all angles.
They're vertical angles. Very good. They're vertical angles. They're opposite of each other. Vertical angles are congruent. How about something like and you're asked to find the measure of angle K. So look at the picture. You've got two sides that are congruent to each other. Agreed?
Yeah.
So what do you know about the angles opposite those sides?
They have to be congruent.
They're equal to each other, aren't they?
They're both.
So can't you take 180 and subtract 80?
Yes.
And what's left?
100 and divide that by 2.
There's 100 degrees left, and these two are equal to each other. So if you divide that by 2, there's 50 degrees left for each of those angles. So 50 and 50.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Good? What if you got an isosceles triangle and one base angle is 6y and the other base angle is 8y minus 16?
Let them equal to each other.
You set them,
They're equal to each other.
they're equal to each other, aren't they? So say this is angle A, B, and C, and they want the measure of angle B and the measure of angle C. What's 6y going to be equal to?
8y.
8y minus 16.
Okay. So
Subtract 8y.
subtract 8y.
Negative 2y.
And then divide by
2.
negative 2.
2.
And what's y equal?
8.
So if y is equal to 8, what's angle 6 or angle A equal to? 6 times 8 is,
48.
so that's 48. What would this be over here?
Oh, I thought they 60.
They're equal to each other, aren't they?
Oh yeah, 48.
48.
I was actually doing it.
So angle A and angle B are both equal to 48 degrees. Subtract both of those from 180 and it'll give you angle C. What's 48 and 48?
96.
96. So 180 minus 96 is
84.
84. What about this picture? What kind of triangle is it?
Isosceles.
Good. What if this is you're asked to find the measure of angle C.
Add them together. Subtract 180.
You got to solve for x first, don't you?
So you add them together
So
and set it equal to 180.
If angle A is 2.5x, what's angle C?
2.5
2.5x.
equals 5x.
What do all three of these have to sum?
180.
Alright, so what's 5 plus 2.5 plus 2.5?
10.
So doesn't 10x have to equal 180?
Yeah.
Divide by 10,
18.
and x equals 18. If x equals 18, then wouldn't the measure of angle C be equal to 2.5 times 18? What is that? 36 and 9 is 45? 45, very good. 45 degrees.
Why you say 36 and 9?
Because 18 and 18 is 36, that's the 2.
Oh.
0.5 of 18 is 9, so I was trying to do it in my head.
Okay, I think this is a really dumb question, but why would you put B in there? Like when you added it all together, because I know you would have to add A and C because that. Oh, because they all have to equal 180, right? Okay. That's fine.
Very well done. That's just plain good drawing right there, I got to tell you. I mean, I two isosceles triangles sharing a vertex without the pencil coming off the paper. That's skill. Find a measure of angle B. The measure of angle B. So when you get a picture like this, fill in what you can first. If in the triangle on the left you're told that this vertex angle is 92, well then take 180 and subtract 92, and what's left? 88. Divide that by 2 and you got
44.
44. So isn't this angle 44? Isn't this angle 44? Isn't this angle 44? So now you have another little isosceles triangle. So if you took 180 and you subtracted 44, you would be left with,
136.
divide that by 2,
2, 4, 6, 30.
so wouldn't this be 68 degrees? Get the idea? Okay, there's one last thing I need you to put in your notes, and then I'm going to give you your assignment. And it's going to apply to number 15, but I don't want you to look at it until you possibly get stuck on number 15. So look, this. You saw it in Algebra 1 when you were, it would have been called solving polynomials. solving for x in a trinomial. Look, you've got an x squared, and you've got an x, and you've got a constant. So what you did was you subtracted 3x from each side, and you subtracted 10 from each side. And what you got was x squared minus 3x minus 10 equals 0. And then you factored trinomials, or you used the quadratic formula. In this case, it's easier to factor this trinomial. So remember, you were looking for two numbers that multiplied to negative 10 but added to negative 3. So you did x minus 5 times x plus 2 was equal to 0. And then you set both factors equal to 0. You made x minus 5 equal to 0, and you made x plus 2 equal to 0. You solved them both. So one of your solutions is x equals 5. The other solution was that x equaled negative 2. And you had two solutions for x. You're going to run into a problem like that in your assignment today. So just remember, you know how to do it. You just haven't done it in a while. Okay?
I don't even think I don't know how to do that.
Your assignment for today is on page 288. And you're going to do 3 through 6. And then over on the next page, 13 through 16.
What were they?
What's that?
What were they?
It's written on the wall. And check headline for homework.